Okay, I grew up in Fairborn, Ohio, which is near Dayton, and I was always athletic. I was always getting in trouble, jumping off roofs and trying to parachute when I was a kid, or bicycle wrecks. We had horses then, and that was my first brain concussion, falling off of a horse riding bareback. So I was a risk taker and athletic. So I played sports, first of all, in the YMCA softball league. And my dad was kind of my first coach, I guess. So, and then I continued all my whole life in sports. I was voted most athletic girl in my high school. And then I moved to Oregon. After I graduated from high school, I went to the U of O, and that was before Title IX. So I played at the university on the women's freshman basketball team. They had two teams then, varsity and freshman. And then I dropped out of school.
Let me backtrack. You jumped off of a roof. Did you land on your feet?
Yes. Yes.
And so I know we have to talk about this. It was at 23.
Yeah.
You had the incident,
Yes.
tree fall.
Yes.
Could you sense that at that time when that happened, you would come back from it? Or were you fearful that your life had changed for the bad forever?
So I was a forestry worker when I was in my early 20s. And our job was to replant the forests after clear cuts. But the industry was looking for different lines of work. And this new line of work was cone picking. And that required you to climb trees with ropes and spurs to get the best cones from the best trees before they fell on the ground. I wanted to do that. So I went and tried it with one other person who was training me, but it was an unsafe method. But I was not fearful because I had climbed mountains and had taken risks before. It was a thrill, actually, to climb to the top of a 200-foot tree and sit in the crown while the wind swayed me. Then I started to come back down. I rigged my rope for a rappel, and a branch broke, and I fell 65 feet and landed on my feet and was immediately paralyzed. It took 12 hours to get to the hospital for surgery, and I was in the hospital for 3 months here in Eugene at Sacred Heart Hospital. Losing your ability to walk or feel or move is a cataclysmic experience, of course. And because my spinal cord injury was an incomplete injury, I didn't know, and the doctors couldn't tell me if I would ever walk again. Throughout my course of 2 years is when you get the most return from a spinal cord injury. I tried everything in terms of healing modalities. And living in Eugene, I had a lot of access to different types of healing, like meditation, like a lot of Western medicine mixed with other types of healing modalities, let me say. And a core belief that I can do everything I can do, I will do to try to be able to walk again, or if not, then I will accept that.
And so that 3 months in the hospital, there was hope.
When I was in the hospital, I saw other people with spinal cord injuries worse than mine. People who had suffered diving accidents or motorcycle accidents. And I knew that I was strong and athletic and I would be able to move somehow. I didn't know how. But as I started into physical therapy and using a wheelchair and crutches, I became mobile. And I just wanted to build on what I had. And it took a long, long time. For me to be able to walk now with a cane is really kind of a miracle.
Well, I want to go 10 years later after that injury, you earned a spot on the USA Women's Wheelchair Basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to that point? Take us through that process of getting to the Olympics.
Yeah. So a couple of years after my accident, I was mainly using a wheelchair and crutches to get around. I got a phone call from a friend, and she said, "Susie, do you want to try wheelchair basketball?" And I was shocked. What is that? Let's try it. So I did and fell in love with it immediately. And I committed myself to the sport because I'm a team sport player. I needed the exercise. I love basketball. And so it was an opening for me and a path I knew I wanted to follow. So I gave it my all. I worked out religiously, like every athlete makes their goals. I made high goals for myself. And I was able to make the team and be a starter on the team for 5 international competitions. And those were some of the best years of my life.
And you played basketball before the injury.
Mm-hmm.
What was the difference playing in a wheelchair?
Yeah. So playing wheelchair basketball in a wheelchair, you get 2 pushes and then you have to dribble. It took a while to figure out how to maneuver the wheelchair. But once you do, and so we would have fundraiser games and raising awareness games, and able-bodied athletes would get in wheelchairs to play against us. We did that at Mac Court several times against the Oregon Duck teams. And you'd be surprised at how shocked they are at how good we are. So we could maneuver around them. Anyway, so I put myself on a training schedule, and I became really strong and a very good shooter and the fastest player on the team. So that earned me a starting spot, and I never looked back. I played until I was 45 years old, and that's when I retired, realizing my goals, basically.
Was there a person or a coach in your life who kind of kept you going or inspired you to continue to pursue basketball at that high level?
I would say my first international coach in the Paralympics was from the University of Illinois. They have a fantastic program there for wheelchair sports, and he really taught me about the game and taught me about my skill set and how to develop it. But living in Eugene or San Francisco, you have to travel a lot to play other teams because we don't have that many wheelchair basketball teams. So I was on my own for training a lot, but I gained strength through my teammates.
Okay. And these successes, these wins, these accolades, how have they impacted your self-perception, your life, following such a traumatic injury?
Yeah. Any person who realizes their goals, I think that builds strength, inner strength and self-esteem. Sports, we know, does that for youth, for adults, even for people that are my age, older. Recreation and sports is a very important part of life, and I am very happy to live in a community that supports that. Eugene is a great place for sports and recreation, and just getting together with other people to exercise, it's a socialization that's important, especially for people, or I should say, and for people who are coming through rehabilitation. People that are born with disabilities that might not have had the opportunity to socialize in that way or to realize their own strengths and their own abilities. Programs are really important, and it's been a big part of my life to build those types of programs and be a mentor and a leader for youth and for adults needing that kind of opportunity.
That was actually my next question.
Okay.
Like, how did your success fuel your desire to instill these lessons and train other athletes, disabled athletes?
Yeah. Well, having benefited myself from being part of a team, from through, let me rephrase that. Sports has meant everything to me. It really helped me when I had a major life change to see a future that was fulfilling and to see my own strengths. I wanted to share that with others. And I happened to be a good coach and teacher, so I really got back a lot from teaching others and to see the joy in their faces and to see that sports is an avenue for inclusion.
When you were at the Olympics, what is that like? What is that experience like for us who will never get to compete?
Yeah, yeah. My 3 Paralympic experiences, 2 I was a player and 1 I was a coach. It's amazing to see 3,000 to 5,000 athletes from over 50 countries with all types of disabilities living together in the Olympic Village. And you would roll down the street of the village, maybe going to the cafeteria, meet someone from Saudi Arabia or Turkey or Brazil, and you have something in common. Sport is a universal language, and to be able to share our stories after the Olympics, after the Paralympic Games and the Olympic Games, players swap jerseys, and it's a big festival informally, and it's like a camaraderie. I have shirts from, like I said, other countries, from players that we met on the court, maybe we didn't, but it just shows the power of sport universally.
With the Paralympics under your belt, which of them was your favorite or most memorable?
Well, of course, the one where we won the gold medal was my favorite. That was in Seoul, Korea, and it was fantastic because the stadium was filled with people watching the games. And in 1988, this was before the Americans with Disabilities Act and before a lot of awareness about athleticism and accessibility. We were really pleased to see that enthusiasm and the attendance, and it was like a recognition for us as athletes.
Is there a difference between being an athlete at the Paralympics and coaching? Like, what is the...
Wow, that's a great question. I coached wheelchair rugby in Berkeley and also here in Eugene. Wheelchair rugby is a pretty violent sport. There's a lot of chair contact. And I coached men and women, but mostly men, and I found that it challenged me as a coach to communicate in different ways to different people, meaning you have to learn how to motivate each individual on the team. One method doesn't work for everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So I found that my most aggressive athlete inside was able to come out when I was coaching for certain athletes. So I would really push them hard. Other athletes, I would have to take a different approach. But that was the challenge of coaching, and I loved it. I loved it and became very good at that because I could read people and understand what motivates them.
You've been an athlete, you've been a coach, but you've also been an advocate, and
Yes.
you've been around the world
Yes.
advocating for people with disabilities.
Yes.
Why, and what does it mean to you?
So that experience of being in the Olympics and meeting people from all over the world really opened my eyes to what we have here in our country and how in other countries they have less. And I had the opportunity to work with an organization here in Eugene called Mobility International for 25 years. It's a nonprofit organization, and we worked with different communities of people with disabilities all around the world. After I retired from competitive sports, that's where I put my commitment for the rest of my work life, was to traveling to other countries, hosting people from other countries here to introduce them to what to the future, what the future could be for them, whether it was in economic empowerment through microenterprise or helping to advocate for laws in other countries to change things so that they could go to school or have jobs or have relationships, and through sport. So a lot of the sports were developing in other countries at that time that I was an athlete, and I was able to come in at a time as a mentor and coach to help foster new strategies and teach workshops and things like that that were really kind of mind-opening, I think, and caught on.
Does Mobility Eugene, does that still exist?
Yeah. It's called Mobility International USA.
Wow. And you've been inducted into the National Wheelchair Basketball Hall of Fame and the Oregon Disabled Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes.
But recently, you were inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. That's, I mean, a huge deal.
Yes.
What was your response when you found out you were going to be inducted?
When I found out I was going to be inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, I was really, really taken by emotion. It's like, I'm really proud to be part of the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, and the induction ceremony was fun and relaxed and amazing, and I feel like there's been recognition for disabled sports and athletes with disabilities coming, over the years, but being on the stage and accepting that honor has really been a big deal for me.
And one more question for you, Susie.
Mm-hmm.
There are athletes out there who are disabled. I've met a few of them at a couple of charity events, and they may need a Susie Grimes who can offer them insight and encouragement to reach those type of goals and dreams that you were able to reach. What do you say to those athletes?
I think that visibility for disability sports is better now than it was in my day, obviously. There's more access for travel, there's more access for equipment, but still there's a huge lack of opportunity. And I think in our community we do a good job of providing those opportunities, but I don't know how many role models there are out there. I know there are some, and I know that Adaptive Sports Northwest in Portland has a huge program. In fact, I'm going there tomorrow for a women's wheelchair basketball tournament. And I think through visibility, through the events that we host or the events that people can see, it gives people a vision for what they could achieve.
When did you start being able to walk with your cane?
Wow. I've had many, many surgeries on my ankles, my back. I've had a lot of physical therapy. I deal with physical pain. But I walked on forearm crutches for 28 years. And then I was able to have an ankle replacement surgery. That didn't exist. And I could have used it when I had my accident in 1978. It didn't exist. So after that ankle replacement surgery, I was able to transfer to just using one cane to walk. Before that, I was dependent on a wheelchair and forearm crutches. So it's been a journey.
Yeah. What does life look like for you now? You said you're going to a wheelchair basketball tournament, but what does the Susie Grimes do now?
Well, I own a horse farm. And when I came back to Oregon and after I retired from sports, I knew that, I've always known I needed an outlet after sports. So I bought a horse farm, and I've been riding horses all my life, so it's like full circle. What I enjoy is horse camping and trail riding, with my friends and my family, and that really gives me a lot of contentment. There's challenge in that as well, training horses. And what did I leave out?
Feel free.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. I feel I don't know. I guess that's it. I always have so much to say, but then, I don't know.
I think that it's incredible that you were so tenacious and resilient. A spinal injury, damaged ankles, and still coming back. That says a lot about your heart, like the heart that you have. And it takes heart to be that level of an athlete. So.
Wow, thank you. You're right. You're right. I mean, and that's why I've always wanted to give back to people, because I've really received a lot in life. You know, people helped me to heal. People gave me encouragement, and I just took that in. And I've always wanted to give that back. And I hope I've done a good job.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Well earned.
Thanks.